This is August 2025 at the very end of the month, and people say that, well, by that time all the rocks are picked over and there's nothing left. Well, that's not true, because every single day you go to the beach, you're going to be able to find some cool stuff. It was so cool when I was at North Beach in Leland, I found some cool stuff. But my motto is that people are better and more interesting than rocks, and I met someone who actually has seen some of my videos, and I was so blown away by that. So that was the highlight of the trip. But there are other things that I found too that I think you'll find interesting. North Beach in Leland is just at the end of North Street. And this is a misty, misty morning. Foggy, foggy morning. Well, the water is nice and clear this morning. However, there's not much light. So it does make it a little difficult to see what's going on out there in the waves, in the water. Yeah, why couldn't that be a Petoskey stone, right? That'd be the right size that we'd all love. Yeah, it is not a very good Petoskey, but that's what it is. And here we have what looks like some cladophora. Oh, that looks like a little bit of Petoskey right there. So, first Petoskey of the day, first scoop of the day. What we really want, cold water agates. So, since I found a Petoskey here, I figure same density, go for the same little ridge of rocks. Let's see what we can find. There's some nice G in the ISS. Kind of a fun little squiggle there. I'll have to look at that a little closer. All right, let's see what we've got here. I like all those little spots in there. And that is cladophora. Yeah, cladophora, a little piece of cladophora. A little bit of chert. It's just so slippery. And that's nothing special, but I sure like the pattern on it. A little bit of quartz and staining that you get on a lot of the chert around here. That right there is a horn coral that is agatized right there. So we'll save that as a cold water agate. And we have some more cladophora. That's cool. And that's nothing. Filler material. You got to have filler. If you didn't have the bottom half of the class, you wouldn't have the top half of the class. That's interesting. So, see those lines through there. So, I'm thinking horn coral, but I don't need it. I'll leave it there. Probably nobody else is going to want that one. But it is fossilicious. I'll give it that. All right, let's take a look at this scoop. I just picked this up. This is slag. Appears to be slag. And that's the obligatory cheese rock my grandkids love so much. Nice, pretty rock. These are the kind of things that just scream cold water agate, but I don't see it there. The bands are cool. Yeah. Tiny piece of unikite. A very tiny fabicite. I'll keep that for the glamour shot. Well, okay. That looks like crinoids. Or maybe fabicite. Yeah, fabicite. It's kind of different though. There's a little Petoskey. Yeah, that part right there is pretty visible. Is this chert or is this Leland blue? I believe it is chert. It has the look, but it's not there. Well, that's interesting. It looks like banded chert, and polished up that might actually be kind of pretty. We'll have to hang on to that. It's the best piece of banded chert I've seen today, at least. Well, that is fossil soup. There's not much in it, but I see some little crinoids right there. And here, there's a lot of little tiny stuff. Okay, here's another opportunity. A lot of epidote there. All that green. Well, that's very swirly, but is it a Petoskey? I don't think so. It is fossilicious. Fossil soup. Part of a crinoid right there. Lots of purple in that. I'm just going to say granitoid. Okay, even though these are small, that's very attractive there. Look at that. Oh, that's not so much. Those two are real pretty. And the little ones actually do, especially fabicite, they polish up nice. And there's another piece of cladophora. I knew I saw that in there. Awfully small though, that's the problem. We want the big bases. Alright, we'll see what this batch provides. Right off the bat, that's interesting. Fabicite. Cladophora. Just gonna walk for a while, see what we can see. Every wave comes along and reveals possibly something new. Yeah, that's interesting. It is fossilicious. Probably a stroma. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure of it now. A stroma. Ancient sponge. I kind of like this little rock shelf right here. I wonder what it might hold. So just in the last couple of scoops, came up with quite a few interesting. Okay, that's a kind of an attractive unikite, I would say. A little bit different than what you usually see. And okay, nice GNEISS. But that's a nice little fossilicious piece. Yeah, let's see. Platypora. And that is babasite, I believe. Don't you love it when they are patterned like this? Probably a horn coral. But it's just, that is really cool. Same thing with this one, this little swirly. I like it. Little death plate. And another piece of what I would say is babasite. Find a lot of that here, actually. Here's a little piece of what I would consider to be horn coral. And attractive in the way that it's laid out there. That's just kind of a gnarly looking piece of silicified fossil. Same thing with this. It looks like a side piece off of a horn coral. I love this sort of a jasper quartz look here. And there's a red bullseye on that one. And that's kind of a nice little granitoid as well. Here's I'm guessing horn coral. I just like these little pieces of quartz. Translucent. Babasite. And another horn coral to rule them all. And another horn coral. So I'll throw them in for the glamour shot. I may not take them home. Still pretty fogged in. And still it's just me and that one other person. It's amazing that any fossils get preserved. But, you know, I'm looking for that piece that's like, okay, now I can go home. I haven't found it yet. So I just said I haven't found the piece yet. And I still haven't, but that's a pretty decent little Petoskey stone. At least it's the best one I've found today. I'll say that much. So I'll keep digging in this spot. If I find one, then there might be more. And I was right. In that same spot there was this other little tiny Petoskey stone. And this very interesting piece of what I would say is horn coral, but it's all silicified and fascinating. Why did I pick that up? Look at that. And that looks like chalcedony, but I'll put it under light and find out for sure. Granitoid. Not bad. Well, I found these to be pretty interesting. That actually is a, you can see the little bubbles there. That's a piece of Leland blue, although I'd say not the best color. This was intriguing to me because it looks like a brecciated Petoskey stone. It's got all the right coloration and marks there for Petoskey, but it's all broken up. That's interesting. And this unikite, I've never seen one quite like that. It's just kind of a Just unakite sitting on top of some other host rock. That's a nice little piece of favosite. Kind of showing maybe a little bit how it grew. And the contrast there on that favosite is kind of interesting. And then this is horn coral that I'm going to have to look at closer, because I think that's it's probably a little bit agatized in places. So cold water fossil, or I should say cold water agate. Horn corals are prime host for cold water agates. And then let's see what we have in this scoop. A little bit of a horn coral showing there. We don't want that. I like those bands. If it's chert, that will polish up very nicely. Okay. Sandstone, Jacobsville, or Jacobson, Jacobsville, sandstone, and a little bit of silicified favosite there. Another cold water agate. Yeah. Favosite. Unakite, that's a pretty one. Another one. A lot of this kind of stuff. Crinoids. When in doubt, horn coral. Yeah. Cool the way it goes all the way through, or else one on one side and one on the other. But I would say another horn coral. The last couple of scoops provided me with a few that I thought were pretty interesting. Kind of a nice little granitoid, and remains of a favosite. This, however, means I can go home now, because that is a Lake Michigan geode. It is really worn down, but that's what it is. And I've only found maybe one or two other ones. Well, two, sure. A little bit of Cladopora there on that depth plate, and a little bit of a stink stone. It's kind of a nice one, bigger holes. Okay, Petoskey stone. Show yourself. Cold water agate, show yourself. The eagles are out there feeding, the gulls are out there feeding, the belted kingfisher is out there feeding, and I'm the only one on this beach. So I'm on my way back to the car. I was thinking, boy, I haven't seen any chain coral, and there we go. My day is complete. That's a nice one. Again, on my way back to the car, I came across this nice piece of banded chert. Now what's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing, except maybe, could it be bigger? Yeah. Here's one of our people on Tim Talks About Rocks. This is Brandy. She's out here finding a bunch of cool stuff. Have a good day.
Thank you.
One other fossil I found, I believe it is the blastoid. Yeah, nice name there. A blastoid from a crinoid. People that know more than me about fossils have said that this is not a blastoid. Well, then how about the calyx of a crinoid? And they've said, no, it's not the calyx of a crinoid either. But they haven't said what it is. So maybe they don't know. I'm sure I'm a little baffled right now. It does look to me like it's organic. It does look to me like it was alive once. If you know what it is, let me know. I'd love to find out. Especially this part right here.
It just looks like little dimples that used to have little hairs or something coming out of them to entangle whatever kind of food that it liked. So let me know what you think.
Hey, thanks for watching.